Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here today. It is the 11th of July. Today we have a sun sign, as we have had for the last couple of weeks, in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. Water signs deal with feelings, emotions. Then we have our moon sign, which is the unconscious mind, and we have Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. So unconsciously we're thinking about earth, physical things of earth, the things we create, things that have to do with the earth. Okay, so when you think about the earth, think about all the things that make up the physical world. That's what we're looking at here. Material things, physical world. And so we look at all of these different things in the world, and we can see that they apply to things that we have. The things that we have. They apply to things that we do, work or career. They could apply to things that we make. So it all has to do with the manifestation of energy into something physical of some sort or another. Because remember, we're talking about energy. And when we talk about energy, we're learning how to bring energy down from one form into the next. The form we start off with is that highest form, which is called the Ein Sof, or the no thing. It's that pure essence of spiritual energy. We call it God, divine providence, great spirit. Whatever name you want to give for it, there's that understanding this is that higher creative power that flows through. And when it flows through, it expresses itself as fire, as water, as air, and as earth. The fire are the ideas of God. The ideas are expressed forward. The fire shows that fire moves, right? When you think of fire, fire moves and flickers because it's always active. So that's how our ideas are. We have ideas that are active, like flames of fire within us. And then we take those ideas and we apply the next level, which is water. Water is fluid. It's emotions. It flows. Water can be stagnant or it can flow, either way. And so we apply this element of water. And in this case, we're talking about feelings. So we have our ideas, fire, and we apply feelings, emotions to them, water, and from those two things, the next action we take is action, air. Air is represented in tarot by swords. If you take the first letter S away from swords, you're left with words. So swords are about words we speak or actions we take. So we have the ideas of fire. You have feelings, which are added to those. Then those feelings, those ideas, which have now taken on a feeling, are expressed as words and actions, and together they create form. Okay? So you take ideas, sprinkle them with love, emotions, speak them as words out into the world, or take actions, and you create a form. And that's the process we do over and over and over again every single day, that we're learning how to do better and better and better. All these thoughts and things that we do about manifestation, law of attraction, it's just working with the same principles. Learning how to attract, learning how to emote, learning how to take action. And when we do it over and over and over enough, it becomes simpler. And you know what? We do this each and every day. Everybody does something that they are very good at manifesting in their life. everybody. And if you take time to figure out what it is, then you'll be able to see that if you can manifest in that area of your life, you have the ability to manifest in every area of your life, because it's really all the same. If you know how to work with energy in one way, you can go in all different fields. And so that's the beauty of it. Okay, that's the beauty of working with energy. So today we have this Capricorn moon sign, our unconscious mind. So underneath we've got this physical things we're thinking about, earthly things. And we're going to look at some of the aspects that we're going to deal with here. Later this morning, there's an aspect between Capricorn and here we have Neptune. Enlarge just a little bit so you can see a little better. Okay, you can see Neptune. This one underneath here looks similar, but you got the two little lines here instead, and this isn't Neptune, this is Pluto. So we have Capricorn is having an aspect first with Neptune and then with Pluto. So think of the key words. Neptune, keyword, new perspective, because Neptune is associated with the tarot card of the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man suspending the mind to take a new perspective on things. So Capricorn, our unconscious mind, is dealing with earthly things, moving in good, optimistic ways with looking at things from a new perspective. So perhaps by looking at things from a new perspective, it helps us to be able to create things in the physical realm much differently. Find a way through a problem is one thing that we can do, because the problem that we're solving is in the physical world, and the new perspective is the thing that's going to help us to look at things differently in the physical world to be able to create that. And then later when we get to the evening, we have this conjunction taking place here. And the conjunction means that two of these signs are right next to each other. So Capricorn, earthly things, physical things, is right next to Pluto, which is bringing deep transformation. So we want to just be aware of that transformation that go on, because that transformation will affect how things are created in the physical world. It affects us, because remember, we are part of those physical things that are created. And so as we come to understand ourselves better, we can learn through the processes of transformation how to move more effectively in the world. We have a full moon coming up tomorrow, along with a change from a moon sign to Aquarius. And it's going to be there on Sunday as well. Monday we're making a transition back from Aquarius to Pisces. So Aquarius is an air sign. Looks like water, two squiggles of lines, but it's really an air sign. So remember, air, words and actions. Just take air and think of air and swords. That's what represents it. Take away the S, words. Okay, so we have a weekend of air on the unconscious mind and water on the conscious mind. And if in doubt, just think about how these elements operate in your life. You can think of a basic one. When you go into the kitchen, you cook, use water, put it in a pot to put on the stove, you got fire. Fire can burn real fast or heavy, and the water could turn to steam, or you could have the water just get warm enough to make some soup or some tea, or the water could boil over and it could put out the fire. In which case, just substitute then fire and water for their meanings. Water, feelings or emotions, could overflow and could overwhelm the fire, the ideas, so the ideas are put out. Or the ideas can be so strong that they cause the emotions to fizzle out, to burn out, to be evaporated. So if we look at the different ways like this, so we have earth and we have emotions. So when we think about earth and emotions, think about an island floating on the water. It can float there. There can be a lot of harmony on that island there. Or there could be a huge situation that the water overwhelms the earth and the earth sinks. Or the earth can spread out quite a bit and it could absorb and soak up all the water. So we have to find a balance between the physical world things and our emotional world, those feelings that are going on. And as we work with that, we get better and better at who and what we're about. Remember Star Wars? Stretch out with your feelings, Luke. So feelings, it's important. Very, very important. The numerology today is a number 7. Let's see how we came up with that. Right now, I'm guessing you should be pretty good at this. 7 for the month, 11 or 2 for the day, and 2014 for the year. So we have 16. 7 and 7 plus 2 is 16. 1 plus 6 equals 7. So by the process of theosophic subtraction, we've come down to a 7. 7 is the number of the charioteer. 7 is the number of victory. 7 is all about, with the charioteer, we're dealing with emotions and feelings. This represents the sign of Cancer, the astrological sign of Cancer. It has the armor on the charioteer in order to protect itself from all of the emotions that are going on. So that's what's taking place there. When we go over to the tree of life, let's look at our positionings. Okay, the numerology right here, 7, along with the Cancerian energy. The moon sign energy right down here, Capricorn. So all of the things we're looking at today are situated on the left side of the tree here when we look at it. The side of severity. So things could be a little bit severe. We need to find a way back to the middle path today. Okay? With the charioteer hanging way out over here with his feet in severity, this is Mars energy. Mars energy can be intense. It can be passionate. It can be creative. But if it's bottled up, it can be warlike. And the charioteer is already dressed for war. So we need to make sure that the charioteer is going to use the intellect so it doesn't get caught up in a situation here. And the way to do that is by applying justice to the situation, going back to the heart, understanding that the things that we do have consequences. As we sow, so shall we reap. Law of karma is in effect, so we learn. When we take more responsibility for ourselves and our karma, we learn to do things that are going to benefit ourselves as opposed to things that are going to hurt ourselves. So in this case, we find our way back to the middle. And here the path of the devil says we've really gotten in our mind too much in our head. And so we need to get back over here to the heart. And getting back to the heart is a journey because we have to look past the illusions of the physical world. Okay. Now I brought up this card here, the card of the devil, since it represents Cancer, or Capricorn. Repetition is important, so I'm going to go over this one again. Just remember the physical world, everything that's around us that we create. We see the physical world, we observe it with our eyes, with our senses, but we know from all of the study of esoteric philosophy that there is much more than just the physical world. We know from the fire, water, air, and the earth that there's a world of air, a world of fire, a world of water, and a world of physical. We're in the physical world. It's the lower of these worlds. Energy is moving slow enough that it appears to be physical, but nonetheless it is still energy. If we think that this is the be-all and end-all of everything, that's the illusion, because then we get trapped in this world thinking everything is real. The idea is to look past the illusion of what the devil represents so that we can see things much clearer. And when we look past the illusion, we see that there's something more than what we originally thought. And we find out that the devil just fades away into the background because it's not really a consideration. It was just there. I like to think of the devil as quality control, making sure that the product, the human being works properly, goes through the tests and the temptations, passes them without succumbing to them, and then is able to move on to the next level. Now, one of the things that is important with this card is the pentagram on top. Remember, the pentagram represents man. Got the head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Head at the top, you got the 2 arms at the side and 2 legs down here. When standing with the head at top, it represents the idea that energy is coming down through the crown chakra to start off with. When flipped upside down, energy now is coming first through the root chakra. And that gives a whole different perspective because the root chakra is all about sex, survival instincts. when we look in the world and we see that going on, we understand it's a misuse of the energy because there's not a lot of selflessness in there. It's all about the self when it comes to there. So when we flip it up and put it in its proper perspective and the energy comes through the higher channels first, it makes all the difference in the world because we channel the energy and color it with something much different. So this key here, just like the Lover's card, except it has two characters chained and one character in the back. In the card of the Lovers, let me see, I'll pull that one up in another, just to give you a comparison. Here's the Lovers. You notice you have the three characters. Here's the Devil. Same three characters. The only difference is that these aren't chained and these are. If you look at the two letters here, 1 and 5, we know through the process of theosophic subtraction, we're going to reduce these to a single number, so this becomes a 6, right? Look what number this is, 6. So, the hidden idea behind the Devil is the Lovers. When we look past the illusion of what this is about, we realize that the consciousness and the unconsciousness are not chained to anything. They are free, as in here. And when they are free, the proper way is the conscious mind is looking to the unconscious mind, which is looking to the higher self. They're not focused and concerned that they are working with something only earthly and being chained. They're not misusing the energy, so the pentagram isn't the wrong side up. It's not going through the root chakra first. It's going through the higher channels. And here you have the angel of healing, which is helping to heal the situation. So if we go back here, it says this key of grotesque and terrible aspect is attributed to mirth. The devil is that horrible character of exoteric dogmatism, which is so ridiculous to an enlightened person. But deeper than this figure represents the delusion of outward appearance. Key 15 is the opposite of key 6, hence it shows what happens to us when we fail to use our faculty of discrimination. The ancients declared that the devil is God inverted. This refers to the concept of matter as opposed to spirit, though the truth is that they are both aspects of the one thing, as is so graphically symbolized by the interlaced black and white triangles familiar to every student of occultism. The black background is a symbol of darkness and ignorance. The inverted pentagram on the brow of the devil symbolizes the material inversion, since it is the sign of man in reverse position. Thus it symbolizes falsehood and delusion. The symbol at the navel of the devil is that of Mercury. The pedestal upon which he sits is the half cube, symbolizing an imperfect understanding of the physical world, which is represented by a cube. The two figures are personifications of the self-conscious and subconscious mind, and their horns and hoofs inundate the delusion. That delusion bestializes human consciousness. The chain which holds them to the block of delusion represents bondage. Okay? And again, I think it's very important, not only I, but the teachings require that we continue to repeat the lessons over and over and over. If you take the lessons from the builders of the atom, what they will do is they will send you a lesson every 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to look at one particular lesson, and that's what you are encouraged to do. Read one a day, and then meditate on that one. Because in doing so, you'll begin to understand, because as you heard from the descriptions here, everything within this image is accounted for. The colors, the characters, what they're doing, and so on. So it's very important that we understand, and if we look at the cards and we look at them from a standpoint of they're showing us how energy works, we'll understand a lot more about how energy works. Okay? Current moon phase is just about to the full moon, 99% of the way there. It says tonight Mars and Spica form a striking pair in the southwestern sky at dusk. They're now just under 2 degrees apart. On Sunday evening, they'll be at the minimum separation of 1.3 degrees. We can watch them change day by day. Full moon tonight and Saturday night. This evening, the moon shines in northern Sagittarius. Tomorrow, it's in western Capricornus. On the Mayan Oracle, today is a 7-tone day, which is called the resonant tone of attunement. We're on the wave spell of the star, which is shining our beauty. So today we're attuning that by understanding the timelessness of life. The phrase is I channel in order to enchant, inspiring receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of death. It's the World Bridger up here. So it's a 7 wizard guided by the World Bridger. Space weather, our solar wind is 372.5 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet at the moment in the 2 range. No coronal holes that we can see. M-class flare possibilities dropping down again from 70 where it was yesterday. Now we're at 60. And X-class is down to 15 from 20. Geomagnetic storm activity hangs at 15% over the next 24 to 48 hours in the higher latitudes. And on the Jewish calendar today is 13 Tammuz. And the daily thought for today, 13 Tammuz, is redeemed in peace. There is a third strategy powered by the intense light of inner Torah that awakens the essence of the soul, an essence core that knows no change, that is unperturbed by any challenge or trial. Faced with such invincible power, even the darkest forces surrender, make peace, and become our allies. The essence of our soul, after all, is the essence of all that is, even of darkness. All right, there you go. That gets us started for today. UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, thank you very much, Dirk. First story. Mysterious blue light streaks across India. Strange blue lights rumble over India, sounded like thunder, and looked incredible. Well, that's not the actual picture, just a rendition. This is from Aizawl, India, July 10th. What was that? Was it an unidentified flying UFO or meteor flash from the sky? Mizoram is still bustling with the speculations of a sight that its skies saw last Monday, reported the media. A bright bluish light streaked across the sky towards the west of Mizoram and lit up the night sky before breaking into a handful of pieces and disappearing into the clouds. It sounded as though thunder rumbled over the mountains. This happened around 8:30 p.m. on Monday. It came really fast. It was blue and flew high in the sky. Then it suddenly split into maybe 5 or 6 pieces and disappeared. And then there was the explosion. I immediately grabbed my camera in case it came back and waited for an hour, but it did not. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, said Alfred Van Chawang, a journalist who saw what is largely believed to be a meteor, but for which there has been no evidence. Hiratpula Kriangate, another journalist who lives in Tiambong, a small town at the India-Bangladesh border, said in a Facebook post that some women and children in the neighborhood ran out of their homes scared, and that the explosion was heard immediately after the object disappeared. Okay? So again, this is just a rendition, but just imagine seeing a blue light across your sky. It'd be pretty exciting. Google Maps has another UFO that it was found, this time captured over HAVERFORDWEST, Wales. Just a map of where it's located. While investigating purported sightings of a ghostly monk in HAVERFORDWEST, Pembrokeshire, the Paranormal Chronicles have stumbled upon an interesting photograph captured by Google Maps. The photograph taken at the top of Market Street and facing Hill Street shows a strange object in the sky. The Google watermark shows the photograph was taken in 2013 and a request has been made by the paranormalchronicles.com for the exact time, the date the photograph was taken. Okay, so there you go. And if you just spend some time going through Google Maps, you'll find lots of these type of things, as are continually pointed out at the various UFO sites. All right, UFOs over Norway. But the CIA admits that it was us. The CIA. Okay, there might be something to this transparency thing after all, given the tweet sent on the CIA Twitter account this week disclosing that the agency and not extraterrestrials or even meteorologists' wayward experiment balloons was responsible for the wave of UFO sightings that soared above the Scandinavian skies over Norway in the 50s. That's correct, the CIA. On July 4th, on the recent Central Intelligence Agency Twitter activity involving the admission that what had happened, thought to be unidentified object over Norway in the 50s, had actually been CIA missions. The tweet read, "That was us," and directed the reader to a government paper about the U-2 spy plane flyovers. Remember reports of unusual activity in the skies of the 50s? That was us, the tweet reads. The good people of Norway began seeing flashing objects in the skies in the 50s, as did airplane pilots. The U-2 spy plane flew at a ceiling of 60,000 feet, far above any regular aircraft at the time, so when the pilots added their stories of UFO sightings to that of the citizenry, a bit of credibility crept into the rash of unidentified objects flying in the Norwegian skies. Well, interesting. So, they're saying that in the 50s, we were up there with the kind of craft that would be able to trick people so they thought it was a UFO. What to make of that? Is the CIA trying to give us a clue that they've had sort of this kind of technology for so long, longer than people realize? Maybe. Who knows? New online UFO contact class answers the call to the inner spirit of adventure. A new video preview published on YouTube on July 10th offers viewers exclusive insight to an online class that seeks in part to answer questions concerning how the public can investigate extensive state-implemented social, cultural, and political chasms surrounding UFO and ET contact-related issues, emphasizing entry-level perspectives. UFOs and You, Your Experimental Contact for Beginners, investigates topics including disclosure, communications, and night vision equipment, while providing access to the stunning, never-before-seen UFO videos acquired through an independent multi-year study in British Columbia and Washington State. While the 82-minute course of instruction may be intended for beginners, UFOs and You pull no punches in defining today's medieval witch hunt like anti-conspiracy climate. The class notes numerous examples of an establishment that too easily squanders moral capital in defense of CIA, Robertson panel-inspired agendas, ones that actually anticipate the proliferation of widespread sightings with subsequent mass popular backlash against official policies of deceit. So now we have the CIA connected in here with some deceit. Oh no. I mean, what are we to make of the CIA? I mean, the Al-Qaeda. I mean, the ISIS. I mean, it's hard to really put the exact target on them because they seem to change. They are involved in so many things. Covert organization, fooling the people. Okay, the Unexplained Files. Here's something to look out for, another UFO program to be watching for. The Unexplained Files, Science Channel's most watched series of 2013, is returning on Tuesday, July 29th, 10 p.m. Eastern, for a second season of explaining strange, mind-boggling phenomena that science cannot or will not explain. In Season 2, 12 all-new episodes will launch viewers into another gripping exploration of the unknown by investigating more of the more puzzling global incidents from the United States and Russia to Bosnia-Herzegovina, Mexico, and more. Okay? So that's something to look forward to. We have a story about a sighting in Ohio, the Norwood, Ohio incident of 1949, otherwise the Searchlight UFO incident. The Norwood Searchlight incident of 1949, as it has been called, is an outstanding series of 10 visual sightings of a strange aerial object that took place in or near the Norwood, Ohio area from the August 19th of 1949 to March 10th of 1950. The alleged observation of massive object by Searchlight operator Donald R. Berger, and meticulously detailed in his logs, remain one of the more curious events of UFO history. Here we have a piece. 4 minutes and 31 seconds left for your perusal at firstcontactradio.com. Here we have a movie for you to watch, something to do over the weekend. This is an award-winning movie. The length of the movie is 49 minutes and 52 seconds. It's called Alien Signs. UFO Congress EBE award winner, Best Documentary and People's Choice Awards. Now featuring one of the best documentaries ever produced on the question of an extraterrestrial connection to the crop circle phenomena. Recommend viewing from the start to finish. And just in case you're wondering, EBE, Extraterrestrial Biological Entity. That is how they are designated by military personnel. And the very last thing is Interview with Budd Hopkins. Budd Hopkins is the researcher who spent a lot of time dealing with abduction scenarios. Alien abduction is perhaps the scariest topic that one will stumble upon in studying and uncovering the UFO mysteries. Who are these beings and why have they come here on Earth? If you still are new to the alien abduction topic, the video below will give you the first peek to one of the world's most mysterious UFO phenomena, which are encounters with the fourth kind. And if you go down here, you got the video, 36 minutes. Check it out. If you saw the movie Fourth Kind, this is the researcher who was involved with those studies. I think you'll find it very fascinating. Filmed kind of Blair Witch style. So take of it what you will. And that is our UFO news. I'm going to jump away. I'll be back. We got a bunch more. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continuing on. So Fridays, Jesus Fridays. I like talking about Jesus. I know you like hearing about Jesus, so it's a good match. I'm going to continue on here with something from the Urantia book. Now, I've kind of skipped ahead. Let me show you here what I've done. I've skipped ahead quite a bit because we could see all the stories here about Jesus. It includes stories that we know, and then it gets in depth into some that we don't about the journey Jesus took and so on. But I wanted to skip ahead to this last part, the faith of Jesus, to get a little bit of insight of this. Because really, when it comes to Jesus, as far as I'm aware and concerned, you've got all the stories of Jesus, but the most important thing about Jesus was faith. Faith was the important element. When someone was healed, the words were, "Your faith has healed you." So that is what we really need to consider, that degree of faith that was shown by this man. And when we learn these lessons of faith, we really understand that. I think it will help take us to a whole nother level of what life is about. Because this is a great example, and that's what Jesus came to show us, to give us an example of how to live, of how to use the energies around us in life, despite the fact that there are all of those who are speaking ill against us, who are not encouraging us to use those energies. Jesus very much was a rebel, and anybody who's taken time to read through the Bible and read through the stories, read about the rebel-like activities that Jesus took. He didn't stand up for the nonsense that went on. Jesus was a humanitarian, but he was also a warrior. He had within the ideals of life. He wasn't focused simply on one particular extreme or the other. Jesus was walking the middle path, showing us the way that we needed to do this. So let me get into the beginning of this here. The Urantia book, this is paper 196, The Faith of Jesus. Jesus enjoyed a sublime and wholehearted faith in God. He experienced the ordinary ups and downs of mortal existence, but he never religiously doubted the certainty of God's watch, care, and guidance. His faith was the outgrowth of the insight born of the activity of the divine presence, his indwelling adjuster. His faith was neither traditional nor merely intellectual. It was wholly personal and purely spiritual. The human Jesus saw God as being holy, just, and great, as well as being true, beautiful, and good. All these attributes of divinity focused on his mind as well as the will of the Father in heaven. Jesus His God was one and the same, the Holy One of Israel, and the living and the loving Father in heaven. The concept of God as a Father was not original with Jesus, but he exalted and was elevated the idea into the sublime experience by achieving a new revelation of God and by proclaiming that every mortal creature is a child of the Father of love, a son of God. Jesus did not cling to faith in God as would a struggling soul at war with the universe and at death grips with a hostile and sinful world. He did not resort to faith merely as a consolation in the midst of difficulties or a comfort in threatened despair. Faith was not just an illusionary compensation for the unpleasant realities and the sorrows of living. In the very face of all the natural difficulties and the temporal contradictions in moral existence, he experienced the tranquility of supreme and unquestioned trust in God and felt the tremendous thrill of living by faith in the very presence of the Heavenly Father. And this triumphant faith was a living experience of actual spirit attainment. Jesus' contribution to the values of human experience was not that he revealed so many new ideas about the Father in heaven, but rather that he so magnificently and humanly demonstrated a new and higher type of living faith in God. Never on all the worlds of this universe, in the life of any one mortal, did God ever become such a living reality as in the human experience of Jesus of Nazareth. In the Master's life in Urantia, this and all other worlds of the local creation discover a new and higher type of religion based on personal spiritual relations with the Universal Father and wholly validated by the supreme authority of a genuine personal experience. The living faith of Jesus was more than an intellectual reflection. It was not a mystic meditation. Theology may fix, formulate, define, and dogmatize faith, but in the human life of Jesus' faith was personal, living, original, spontaneous, and purely spiritual. This faith was not reverence for tradition nor a mere intellectual belief which he held as a sacred creed, but rather a sublime experience and a profound conviction which securely held him. His faith was so real and all-encompassing that it absolutely swept away any spiritual doubts and effectively destroyed every conflicting desire. Nothing was able to tear him away from the spiritual anchorage of this fervent, sublime, and undaunted faith, even in the face of apparent defeat, or in the throes of disappointment and threatening despair. He calmly stood in the divine presence, free from fear and fully conscious of spiritual invincibility. Jesus enjoyed the invigorating assurance of a possession of unflinching faith, and in each of life's trying situations he unfailingly exhibited an unquestioning loyalty to the Father's will, and this superb faith was undaunted even by the cruel and crushing threat of an ignominious death. In a religious genius, strong spiritual faith may so many times lead directly to disastrous fanaticism, to exaggeration, to the religious ego, but it was not so with Jesus. He was unfavorably unaffected in his practical life by his extraordinary faith and spirit attainment, because this spiritual exaltation was a wholly unconscious and spontaneous soul expression of his personal experience with God. The all-consuming and indomitable spirit faith of Jesus never became fanatical, for it never attempted to run away with his well-balanced intellectual judgments concerning the proportional values of practical and commonplace social, economic, and moral life situations. The Son of Man was a splendidly unified human personality. He was a perfect endowed divine being. He was also magnificently coordinated as a combined human and a divine being functioning on earth as a single personality. Always did the Master coordinate the faith of the soul with the wisdom appraisals of seasoned experience. Personal faith, spiritual hope, and moral devotion were always correlated in a matchless religious unity of harmonious association with the keen realization of the reality and the sacredness of all human loyalties, personal honor, family love, religious obligation, social duty, and economic necessity. The faith of Jesus visualized all spirit values as being found in the kingdom of God. Therefore, he said, seek first the kingdom of heaven. Jesus saw in the advanced and the ideal fellowship of the kingdom the achievement and fulfillment of the will of God. The very heart of the prayer which he taught his disciples was, "Your kingdom come, your will be done." Having thus conceived of the kingdom as comprising the will of God, he devoted himself to the cause of its realization with amazing self-forgetfulness and unbound enthusiasm, but in all the intense mission throughout and his extraordinary life that never appeared the fury of the fanatic nor the superficial frothiness of the religious egoist. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. You can see there's a lot more to this. Let me see, maybe I can get through. Well, let's see. No, there's a lot more. So I'm going to leave this for you because I want to get on some other things. But faith is so important. Faith is the cornerstone of what Jesus was all about. Now, faith is not something that is blind. There's many people in the world, I'm sure you've had discussions about faith with others. Some think it is blind allegiance to something. Faith isn't blind allegiance. Faith is absolute knowing, an absolute knowing about something so strongly that you're not even concerned about the outcome because you understand, you have the faith to know what is going to happen because you are in an understanding of the cosmic laws of the universe. And so if you understand how the principles work, how all the laws and energies are going to work, you have a different understanding of faith that what is happening because it's all part of a bigger picture. With that kind of faith, we could definitely move mountains. That kind of faith is the kind of thing that has inspired us for so many years. Here we are in 2014. We've been reading and listening about the words of Jesus that go all the way back to the beginning of, to zero, to the beginning of this time when we crossed over from BC into AD. So stories of faith are very important. And this faith has leaked out into society. When we hear stories about faith, we're very encouraged by that. So that is, for me, the example that I like to take from Jesus. This idea of faith, of the faith that we should have in God, first and foremost, that we're here for a reason, faith in ourselves, faith in our fellow human beings and others in the universe, because we're all part of this together. When we start to get into a mix where there's greed and all the other stuff that's thrown in, it just throws things out of balance because those people aren't operating on faith. Someone who is greedy, someone who is afraid that they're not going to have enough, isn't operating by faith, because faith tells you that we live in a universe where everything that you could possibly want is available to you right here, right now. All you have to do is take it, receive it. But if one doesn't have that faith, one worries and says, oh no, these things aren't available because they can't see them. Their eyes are blinded to what's really out there. Those people are too caught up in the illusion of the physical world. And in order to really exercise one's faith, you have to be able to be strong enough to look past the illusions of the physical world. And oftentimes people don't like to do that because it requires letting go of some things that people really enjoy, because there's things in the physical world that are enjoyable. And so that's our challenge. Okay, so that's Jesus and faith. Now, I want to continue on and play something else, a piece of information that comes from Jesus, comes from the Bible, things that were said. This is a piece called Did Jesus Give the Name of the Antichrist? I've played this before. I thought that I would play this again in light of everything that's going on in the world. Listen to it this time and see if this makes any more of an impact on you. See if the events that are taking place in the world over the last couple of years assist in the way you now view and hear this information. Maybe it might make a little more sense to you. Okay? Here we go.
Did Jesus really reveal the name of the Antichrist? I report, you decide. This is an updated and more accurate and understandable version of my previous upload on this same topic. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, we read these words of Jesus. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. These words are written in Greek and translated to English. However, Jesus probably spoke these words in Aramaic. Aramaic is a part of the Northwest Semitic group of languages, which also includes Hebrew. Aramaic script was widely adopted for other languages and is ancestral to the Arabic and Hebrew alphabets. Two words in this text are of particular interest. The words are lightning and heaven. Jesus said, "I saw Satan falling as lightning from heaven." In Greek, the word for lightning is astrape. It has a direct Hebrew equivalent. From Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, words 1299 and 1300 from the Hebrew language, the word for lightning is barak. In the Greek text of Luke chapter 10, the word translated as heaven in Greek is uranos. It can mean the heaven of God, but it also carries with it the connotation of the heights, or a high place, or the domain of Satan himself. Evidence of this is found in the same book of Luke, in chapter 8, verse 5, when Jesus speaks of the gospel being attacked demonically. He uses these words, "And the birds of the air devoured it." Here, the most accepted context by biblical scholars is that the birds are the demonic realm and the air is the realm of Satan, from on high, or the heights. The Greek word used here for air is uranos, evidence that this Greek word is not always used in the sense of the heaven of God, but it can be used for the heights or the high places or the domain of Satan himself. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, this is the exact context of Jesus' words. "I saw Satan falling like lightning from the heights, or the high places, or from Satan's domain on high, or from the heavens or heaven." If Jesus' word, translated in the English text as heaven, was referring to the heaven of God, the Hebrew word would be shamayim. More than likely, though, according to the context of Luke 10 and Luke 8, Jesus was not referring to the shamayim of God, but rather the domain of Satan. Now consider this amazing fact. The book of Isaiah is the source of origin for the Christian concept of Satan or Lucifer. In Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 19 especially. In Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14, we hear these words spoken by Satan himself. "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." This matches the exact context of Jesus' words in Luke chapter 10. In the verses of Isaiah that refer directly to Lucifer, several times it is mentioned that Satan has fallen from the heights or from the heavens. The Hebrew word used in this text for the heights from which Satan fell is Hebrew word number 1116 in the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, and it is pronounced Bama. Bama is most commonly used to refer to a high sacred place, as well as to the heights of the heavens or clouds. So in Jesus' prophecy of Luke chapter 10, verse 18, if spoken by a Jewish rabbi in Hebrew, influenced by the poetry of Isaiah, he would use, in one form or another, depending upon the exact wording and context, the words that come from the root forms of these two Hebrew words, barak and bama, to describe Satan falling like lightning from on high. Hebrew for lightning is barak, and Hebrew for the heights or the high places is bama. This fact is indisputable. So is Jesus actually giving us a clue as to who the future Antichrist might be? Many believe so. It is possible that it is merely a strange coincidence. Yet it cannot be denied. If Hebrew words were used to describe Jesus' statement about Satan falling or coming to earth, perhaps as a man in the form of the Antichrist, the Hebrew words barak and bama would be used.
Okay, so there is something to consider. Now, considering all that is going on with Barack Obama, all the things he's doing, and taking consideration that, it gives you different food for thought. Question is, how many coincidences do there need to be before we realize that there's something more than meets the eye? Here we have a statement, a biblical statement from Jesus. 1. We know that one of the names of the deceiver of Satan goes by the lawless one or the beast. Well, the car that Obama rides in is called the Beast. His team, I believe they call him the Renegade. It's one of the names. When he was elected, the numbers in the lottery were 666 in Chicago. We can go on and on and on. I think I made a list one day. There were 19 coincidences. 19 coincidences, things associated with the Antichrist that are all connected with Barack Obama? Are we supposed to just say, it's just a coincidence? It was just Jesus that said that it doesn't mean anything? Or do we really take to heart what was going on and maybe realize that this is an important piece of the puzzle? Look at all the things that are going on. By their fruit you shall know them. So the fruits that we have from the tree of Obama are an IRS scandal, a Benghazi situation, Taliban members returned, border incidents. These are the fruits that are growing on the tree of Barack Obama. By their fruits you shall know them. Add that to the puzzle of everything else that's going on surrounding this man, and there's something more that meets the eye. To me, it's an indication, like many others, that we truly are in the end times. And that's a good thing, because we know at the end times what happens. Jesus makes a return. God kicks ass. The bad guys are gone. So that's a good thing. Something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. Not to be fearful of, but something to be faithful of. Faithful that this plan is moving forward. Faithful that all the positive things that are supposed to happen shall definitely be happening. All right. Let's move on from there. This is an article here at In5D. It's called The Truth About English, Phonetics, Phonics, Phonetics, and Etymology. It's always cool looking at these kind of things, see where things come from, words come from. Cullen Smith. We're going to cover word spells, how post-Mesopotamian language has had us under the old abracadabra trick, the oldest control trick. Thou hast fallen for the eldest trick in the scroll. How do I even begin? Is it by telling you about how we've unwittingly been cast and molded into the ancient spells of our modern spelling? Cast just like a mold, or perhaps like a net? Well, caught like fish in the net of spells and spelling that may have been cast, thus sentencing us to life sentences and the curses of cursive, which are just terms, just like serving a prison term. So we've been sentenced to the wards of these words, which can be deadly as swords if misunderstood, or perhaps you misunderstand the meaning of my terms or the syllables of my syllables, or even the ancient rites of writing. We languish in our languid languish, and anguish ever since the ancient times of the English Angus and the phonetics of the ancient Phoenician Phoenix. You think English is easy? Sometimes I think English should be committed to an asylum for the verbally insane. In what language do people recite and play at a recital? Ship by truck and send cargo by ship. Have noses that run and feet that smell. How can a slim chance and a fat chance be the same, while a wise man and a wise guy are opposites? You have to marvel at the unique lunacy of language, which in our homes can burn up as it burns down, in which you fill in a form by filling it out, and in which an alarm goes off by going on. English was created from an ancient phonetic phonetics of the phony Phoenician phoenixes, and it reflects the creativity and cunning genius of the human race, which of course is not at all, unless you're just another rat caught in the daily maze of the rat race of this human race against one another. So you get the idea, right? You start to see about all these words and the wordplay that goes on. Well, this happens all the time. I'm going to leave the article for you to read. This happens all the time. We can turn on the news on a daily basis and we can hear the wordplay that goes on, how they twist the meanings in hopes that the viewers are going to take on and understand these new meanings. So, whereas we understand mainstream means the main programs that are being viewed out there, when you turn on Fox News, they've been able to convince their viewers that they are not part of the mainstream, that they are not part of the media. Well, anybody who has studied the media knows that that is inaccurate. But you can watch the news and you'll hear them say this, and people that watch that will tell you verbatim, oh no, they are not mainstream. And they'll parrot back to you exactly what they were taught to say. And we can go through all kind of conditions in life. Advertising does this all the time. They use words to describe things. And it's all about how to make a sale. Many things that we do are based on greed as opposed to based on faith. Because if we did things based on faith, we'd act much differently in life. Faith is something that you use because you're not afraid of what's going on out there. You understand that there's good things are going to work out. When we're fearful of things, we lose our faith about understanding what's going on. And that's wherein the problem lies, because then we fall for all of this stuff here. Because when the faith goes, so does the common sense, so does the believing. And fear enters into the picture. And with fear, too many problems. Far too many problems. All right, so this here is our message for today. This comes to us from SaLuSa. Let's get over to it.
SaLuSa, July 11, 2014. We detect a new mood amongst many of you, indeed a welcome one that indicates that you have moved beyond the stage of disappointment that you felt after the end of 2012. Situations such as you have experienced are largely the result of them being very fluid, and with the best will we cannot always predict how things will turn out. You may however be assured that whatever we do is in the best interests of everyone. It is the bigger picture that is important, and from your perspective, you cannot really see it all. God has decreed that all shall go ahead as planned, and it is therefore a fait accompli. So we ask you to accept that we are wholly committed to bringing the truth into being, and helping you advance as quickly as possible into the new age. What has been ordained by God must come into being, and no matter what takes place to prevent it, it will not and cannot succeed. You can therefore make your plans to contribute to the efforts being made to bring a conclusion to the old age energies, by breaking the hold it has upon you. Do not be in fear of them, as you will otherwise continue to be linked to them. You can protect yourself at all times by focusing on the light that will ensure that you are safe at all times. The old world sits alongside the new one, but sooner or later there will come a great upliftment, that will bring a change that will see an end to duality such as you experience it. We emphasize again that there will be a parting of the ways, and the new age will start in earnest, having thrown off the cloak of darkness. You can rightly expect the end times to be a complex mixture of all types of experiences, as many paths are coming together for a final cleansing. The end for many will mean a quick exit from the earth, only to continue their experiences at an appropriate level to their particular vibration. We know that some of you have strong bonds with many souls, but each of you must be allowed to follow your own path. Sometimes groups of souls will progress together, and it is possible because they are at a similar stage of evolution. However, when the time comes for a new advanced experience, an individual soul will move to another level. One thing we will emphasize again is that once you have a genuine love link with another soul, no matter where they are, they will always respond to your attempt to contact them. That is because in the higher levels distance is no barrier to doing so, and contact is instantaneous. Your life on earth is such a contrast to the one you are going to experience once you have ascended. Be open to many changes that you will find very welcome, and do not think in terms of life as you know it now. You will not be encumbered by the restrictions imposed upon you by the lower vibrations. You will be a free soul able to transport yourself to wherever you wish, and it will be in your light body. You will feed off the energies all around you, although it is possible to partake of certain light foods that are extremely beneficial to the body. You may well have read or heard of the astral regions through souls that have passed into this region immediately after death. These will be your first experience of the higher levels of vibration, and are similar to the ones we have mentioned, except that you are still thinking and acting as previously on Earth. You will soon learn how to use your power of thought and adjust to the new level of being. Even now you have a certain degree of power to create, but it is more effective when you get together in groups. In the higher levels they can create buildings in this way, and understand that what you will see in the astral levels is a result of using such creative energies. There will come a time in the not too distant future when you too will have the power to create whatever is required for your well-being. Can you now begin to see how much your thinking and use of your abilities will begin to change? I do not want to overwhelm you with too much information, but what we refer to is simply the commencement of a new way of life for you. It is one that you familiar with as you passed through the different levels when you dropped down through the vibrations. Soon you will have greater levels of consciousness and understanding, and even now they are expanding due to the higher vibrations you are experiencing. At present you are still, as one might say, just awakening to your true self and will not be whole until you have full consciousness. So please, dear ones, make allowances for any lack of understanding that you may come across, as many souls have not yet grasped the truth or understood its meaning where they are concerned. Be patient with them and offer words of comfort and advice suited to their level of understanding. Too much too soon can be overwhelming and set back any progress that has been made. All souls are allowed to progress at a rate they can handle, and all of them will at some stage awaken to the truth of their being. We have nothing but love for you all and see the higher being that you are, and admire your strength and resolve to close your experience in the lower dimensions with a return to the levels of light. At every turn we will do our best to assist you, but please remember to request our help and thus allow us to do so. As some of you have realized, we are one with you and many of you are known to us through earlier contact. Some of you are on Earth to specifically take part in the end times, bringing with you knowledge and skills that can be put to good use. Indeed, your presence is speeding up progress and your vibrations are uplifting those you meet on your travels. In fact, some of you have incarnated together to carry out your life plan, and are working with soul mates who are very much of your own vibration. It can sometimes be a lonely life as some of you have little opportunity to share your wisdom and knowledge, but you do nevertheless help many souls by your mere presence amongst them. Your energy is of a high vibration and uplifting, and even of a healing nature. I am SaLuSa from Sirius, and send our best wishes and love to all dear souls upon Earth. We draw nearer each day and thank you for your dedication and love for your human family who is on Earth. Thank you, SaLuSa.
Alright, good message from SaLuSa. So before we get on to our meditation, one thought to share with you, because what was mentioned in there was consciousness. We're going through a lot of changes in life. Lots of changes. In order for these changes to really be understood, we have to look at things from another perspective, a higher consciousness. An example being that if we look out at the extraterrestrial situation that is going on, a lot of times we're taught that we need to be afraid that they're coming down to attack us. But that's based simply on the fact that on Earth, that is what we have done when we've gone to other countries. We've invaded, we've attacked. So our consciousness down here is only at the position that when we go into another country, we attack, we invade. And therefore, we apply that same thing onto our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters, saying that if we do that, this is obviously what they must do. They're here to attack. But that's not the truth. When we raise our consciousness to look at things from a higher perspective, we realize that maybe the warlike attitude isn't quite the same up there as it is here. Maybe that once we raise our consciousness and we're looking at things from a perspective of looking outside in, we might see things in another way. So we need to not get caught up in the human perspective that keeps us limited, because that human perspective is just like looking at the physical world the tarot card of the devil represents, caught up in that illusionary world where you're only seeing what's here and basing everything upon here. We can't do that. We can't make that mistake. We need to raise our consciousness, and we do so simply by raising our consciousness, having the faith to know that that is all part of who we are, and as we raise up, we become more of who we are and what we're about. Okay? So there you have it. That was my little thought for the moment. Let me jump ahead here to our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And one more deep breath. I want you to imagine walking along on Earth. And you're walking along, and there's lots and lots of other people out walking the path. And I want you to imagine that as you're walking along and you are at the same level as everybody else is, you're only able to see the persons ahead of you, persons next to you, behind you. You can't really see that much far ahead of you because you're in this flow. And everything is moving quickly and all moving at a similar consciousness. So feel yourself in that mix, that confusion. And as you are there, you get the feeling that you want to look at things differently. So you think about looking at things from a different perspective, and as you do, you find that you begin floating upward. And as you begin to float upward high above the crowd, and you're looking over the heads of the crowd, you begin to see more and more people. You begin to see more of what's going on. And as you do, you see far ahead in all directions, and you realize that there's something going on more than what you had experienced. That up ahead, people are gathering together in different ways and communicating in different ways than they are around you. And so as you raise your consciousness and you see things differently, you begin to have a set of faith, exercising the muscle of faith that allows you to access that inner temple of belief that you have within ourselves, within yourself. And as you enter that inner temple and you connect with really who you are, you're able to let go of all of the attachments that you aren't. And as you let go of the attachments that are holding you back, you find yourself even freer. So you find that faith is very important to what we do in life. So I want you to imagine now faith. Faith is like a muscle. And I want you to imagine over with a set of exercise equipment, and you're lifting these weights, and every time you do, you're exercising this muscle of faith. The faith in your arms, in your legs, in your shoulders, in your chest, in your back. Doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, you're exercising the muscle of faith. And as the muscle becomes stronger, it becomes easier to do things each and every day. As the muscles become stronger and your faith becomes stronger, the doubts that you once had drift away because you know that they are only illusions. Illusions to look past. So you give thanks right now to the fears that you had around you because you understand that they served a purpose but are no longer required. So you let that fear go. You send love to it as it makes its way out, so it can transmute into something even better. And you move through life with a different set of faith. So this weekend as you go forward, just practice that faith. Imagine yourself walking, feeling faithful. Faithful to God, faithful to humanity, faithful to yourself. Knowing that with each and every breath, you understand a little bit more about what faith is. And as you understand what faith is, you also understand what faith isn't. And in the process, you find the difference between the two. So continue to walk that path of faith. Let your unconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is our show for today. That's the show for the week. Thank you so much for being here. So I want to tell you, thank you very much for taking time out to send me emails, to make comments, and all the different ways that you found to connect with me and communicate. when the weekends come, I have a little more time, and so I try to answer as many as possible. So that's what I'm going to be doing later this evening and into the weekend. So if you haven't heard from me yet, chances are you will. You have an awesome weekend. I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Peace. Love you. Keep loving each other. Talk to you soon.